You're listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.
Korea's government just excluded RSU tax benefits restricted stock units, that is from the 2026 tax reform.
Right, totally overriding the recommendation of their own policy institute, the KDI, which is wild.
Yeah, and the timing is brutal. Samsung Electronics' 2024 annual attrition just hit 10.1%.
Which is massive. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is nearly triple TSMC's 3.5%.
Wow.
And like quadruple NVIDIA's 2.5%.
Exactly. And on top of that, the U.S. Commerce Department just restricted access to the Claude Mythos5 model.
Yeah, locking it down to roughly 100 U.S. vetted companies.
Right. So Stanford's 2026 AI index flagging Korea as a net AI talent exporter, losing 0.35 per 10,000 AI professionals annually isn't just a statistic.
No, not at all. It is a very real symptom of these policies just violently colliding.
It's Monday, June 29th. Let's look at what this means for startups and entrepreneurs in Korea.
Let's do it.
So to give this deep dive some structure, we're pulling from a stack of policy white papers, that Stanford AI Index, and corporate tax filings today.
Right, to figure out what the actual path forward is for the ecosystem.
Yeah, because if you look at that massive 10.1% attrition at Samsung versus 2.5% at NVIDIA, you might just assume it's a base salary issue, right?
Sure, that's the obvious guess everyone makes.
But the data points to one fundamental difference, and that's equity. NVIDIA gave an average of $150,000 US in RSUs per employee last year.
Yeah, because broad-based equity is like the ultimate retention tool.
Absolutely.
But policymakers are treating RSUs like they're just some tax loophole for top corporate executives.
Yeah.
They're completely missing how crucial they are for emerging companies that are just trying to build their teams.
Which really explains the current law. I mean, getting an RSU in Korea right now is kind of like winning a car on a game show, but you just don't have the cash to pay the immediate taxes.
Oh, that's a great way to put it, the dreaded dry income.
Right. It creates this massive dry income burden where you owe the tax the exact moment the shares vest, well before you've actually sold anything to generate the cash.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So how can Korean startups possibly retain talent under a system like that?
Well, they simply can't compete right now due to this glaring policy gap.
Yeah.
Look at Korean stock options, for instance.
Okay.
They actually enjoy tax relief on gains up to 200 million won, which is, about 143,000 US dollars.
Right.
But RSUs get absolutely zero tax privileges, just nothing.
Wow. Zero.
And if you look at the Kioxia case in Japan, following the Toshiba memory acquisition.
Right. I remember that.
They granted options to about 600 mid-level managers there.
Okay.
Today, those employees hold roughly 100 billion won each, which translates to about 71 million US dollars per person.
That is insane. 71 million.
Right. It just proves that broad-based equity works wonders for retention, provided the tax barriers are actually removed.
Okay, so Korean startups are already bleeding the talent they desperately need to build foundational models from scratch. But that lack of homegrown talent becomes a straight-up existential threat. When you look at the new geopolitical wall the U.S. Commerce Department just threw up around Claude Mythos5.
Yeah, they froze out non-U.S. entities completely.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you're a founder relying on U.S. frontier APIs, aren't you basically building your startup on rented, geopolitically unstable land?
Honestly, it's worse than rented land. It's land that can be repossessed without any warning whatsoever.
Right.
And this reality turns model diversification from, a nice-to-have technical optimization into a strict pre-Series A requirement.
That makes total sense.
But this data gating policy actually forces a localized solution. It's triggering a booming AI compliance market right inside Korea.
Right, because if you can't just pipe your data out to a foreign cloud model, enterprise governance and on-premise security suddenly become your core product.
Precisely. Take SKX's Agentic Wire platform, for example.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't just selling an AI wrapper, they're selling localized governance.
Okay, how so?
By keeping data processing on-premise and building automated compliance checks directly into the API layer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're cutting IT operations lead time by over 50% across more than 40 different companies.
That is a massive operational save.
It really is. And they're targeting aggressive expansion into financial services and gaming by the second half of 2026.
So looking at this whole picture, it just feels like local founders are caught in a vice,
Yeah, definitely.
You have domestic tax policy driving away the talent, and then international trade policy locking you out of the best tools. So if we synthesize all these sources, where does that actually leave the ecosystem?
Korea's net AI talent outflow of 0.35 per 10,000 workers from our hook is a direct downstream consequence of the RSU tax gap, crippling local founders' ability to close the compensation delta against global giants. However, despite this talent and model layer lockout, Korea remains a highly viable market for B2B founders building enterprise AI security and governance tools. If you are building in Korea today, bypassing U.S. model dependency while selling compliance to risk-averse enterprise buyers is your clearest path forward.
It really leaves you pondering what happens to the entire global AI startup ecosystem if U.S. export controls expand beyond Anthropic to restrict all major foundational models. That rented land could disappear overnight for everyone. That's today's AI PRISM. Founders, AI-assisted, editor-reviewed, 1 IFRA award-winning. Back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.